Hello, my movie loving peeps. Thank you so much for clicking on an episode of Side Flick. My name is Chris. We actually got way too much news to dive into here today, so let's get into it. Some of the stuff we're going to be talking about here today is an update on this Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey horror movie that is getting a sequel, and the same creators are making another childhood property into a horror movie. We got some Marvel casting updates on a couple of upcoming heroes that could excite a lot of MCU fans, and even major updates concerning the Friday the 13th TV series that make this show now way better than a lot of us were expecting. That along with so much more, so I'm gonna need you guys give me your opinions down below with everything we discuss here today, but without further ado, let's just dive into them. Starting things off here on Side Flick, we're gonna talk about some trailers that have just been released and giving you my opinion where I think they're trash or treasure, because as you know, one man's trash, another man's treasure. The first trailer we got here today is for a Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell Christmas movie titled Spirited. This will be a movie that'll be coming to Apple TV, although it will be in theaters for November 11th. And essentially what we got here is a new version of the movie A Christmas Carol. You know that classic Christmas story where a big mean old grump gets visited by three ghosts, past, present, and future. But with this being a comedy, they have kind of a twist to it. Well, Will Ferrell is new to the job of being a present ghost and is doing his best to try and give a life lesson turnaround to Ryan Reynolds' character. It honestly looks like a lot of fun. This movie's also going to have some musical aspects to it, but I'm someone who gets entertained by both Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, so to have them together in a movie and it's Christmas themed, oh, I'm gonna be there. This is a definite treasure for me. Now, the next trailer that was released here is one a lot of people have been waiting for. We got a more full-length trailer for the second Avatar movie titled Avatar: The Way of Water. Really, the only thing I can say about these Avatar trailers is how stunning they are. Like, the visuals here are next level, and that's just the precedent these Avatar movies have set. You would hope they look amazing, and well, they really do, and I can only imagine they're gonna look so much better on the big screen. I will say the only thing kind of drawing me back on this mesmerizing trailer is just there's not enough of a hint of the story in here. There's like some little tease and semblance where it just looks again like the Avatar people are going to war with other Avatar people, or humankind just once again trying to take over Pandora's resources. I'm giving this trailer a treasure for sure, because it is just a beautiful treasure and it's an achievement, but I gotta be honest with you, if you would have shown me shots of this footage and I hadn't seen the last Avatar movie in a long time, there are moments where I would think these are just shots from the last film. Still, though, I gotta say, I am starting to get a little hyped to see this movie come December. Let me know what you guys thought of some of these trailers, what you're looking forward to, and what are your concerns. Something else here that was kind of exciting and was released on Halloween Day, we got our first look to the movie Evil Dead Rise. This is the new installment in the Evil Dead universe, giving us a look at one of these evil entities looking at you through a peephole from a door. One of the things I'm most looking forward about this movie is just the location and setting, because this one is not going to be taking place in a cabin in the woods. From the plot synopsis, it is following two adult sisters and three children when they accidentally discover the Necronomicon in their building, unleash a whole bunch of evil beings, and then have to survive that night. I love when horror franchises try doing something new and step a little bit out of their box, and well, the Evil Dead franchise has kind of been doing that in almost every sequel. I know a lot of people are bummed that Bruce Campbell isn't really set to show up in this one, but I think it's going to be good, especially with Warner Brothers making sure that this isn't one of their tax write-off movies and actually giving it a theatrical release when it was going to go straight to streaming. So yeah, I think this is a great look for the Evil Dead movie, and I can't wait to see how it comes out. How are you guys feeling on this first look for Evil Dead Rise, and are you excited for this horror movie? Another interesting piece of horror movie news I had to discuss here today is we got the official confirmation that the upcoming Megan movie is going to be PG-13. The exact rating they have here is rated PG-13 for violent content, terror, some strong language, and a suggestive reference. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because I think it's a great discussion starter for us movie fans here, because we have all gone through it before, where a movie we were looking forward to turns out to be PG-13 instead of maybe what we were expecting it to be rated R. Then you get into that classic debate in the horror genre where is a PG-13 horror movie really that good? And the answer is yes, they can be. There is a long list of just amazing PG-13 horror movies. I think the Insidious franchise does the best at it. So I myself, yes, can be totally fine with an upcoming movie turn out to be PG-13, but the thing I do want to bring up with Megan is we saw the trailer for this movie. We know what kind of film this is gonna be, okay? I don't think we're lying to ourselves to say this movie probably isn't gonna be great. It looks very cheesy and campy, but also it looked like a ton of fun. There's a reason this movie is going viral online and getting posted everywhere because of those little dance moves. As a horror film, it looks like it's just gonna be entertaining, and that's all I'm expecting from there. to then know that maybe it's going to be held back to a level of PG-13, it does make me slightly disappointed. Especially because there are direct moments in that trailer that just look like it's not supposed to be PG-13. Like Blumhouse was maybe thinking, let's let it be R. There's literal blood spatter, a kid missing a ear, getting run over by a car, just other violent-like sequences. Honestly, wouldn't even be surprised because of the big viral boom it had on TikTok especially, and we know TikTok can be kind of a younger-based platform, that a studio like Blumhouse, who is known for making a lot of stinker PG-13 horror movies, decided, let's just take away some of those bloody scenes. Let's cut it back a few seconds, delete out some stuff, and then boom, bada bing, PG-13 movie. Bunch of kids seeing this movie online now, have the chance to go watch it. I'm like willing to bet money that is actually what happened with Megan. So yes, I think PG-13 horror movies can be good, but with something like Megan, where we know what we're kind of gonna get here, some cheesy, campy slockness, if it was rated R having gore and slashes in there, that just would have elevated it to a more entertaining level. And now to see some of that stuff get censored and held back, I think it's going to take away some of the fun of the film. Your guys' thoughts on Megan being PG-13. Moving on here to a movie that because it's rated R, it's going to be elevated and just that much more entertaining, even though we know it's not going to be a great movie. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. We have some major updates concerning this movie and the future of more childhood horror movies. Because one, it's come out because of the popularity that Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is getting online. With it going viral online and people discussing it, it is going to get a theatrical release for 1 day in theaters, coming out February 15th, 2023. So that's next year in February. The article here in the Hollywood Reporter also mentions because of its popularity that the creators have already begun work on a sequel for this movie, so you can pretty much expect a Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. Can't imagine what that would even look like. But the other bombshell they dropped here is that these creators are working on a Peter Pan horror movie titled Peter Pan Neverland Nightmare. And this is just getting hilarious to me now, okay? I fully, again, respect the people who think their childhood characters should not be turned to horror villains and it ruins it for them. I am all up for it. But with that said, if you're gonna do this, do it right, man. This Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey and this upcoming Peter Pan movie, they are made on some of the lowest budgets imaginable for movies that go to theaters. Like, I don't even think they have $1 million budget on these films. They're essentially just being sold on the idea that X childhood property is a horror movie and some sickos like me are just gonna want to pay to see that. If stuff like this is getting done, yo, throw some money in there, actually do something fun with it, get creative with it, especially like with the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey trailer and that these are supposed to be actual animals, when everybody keeps asking me, aren't these just guys in masks? Yes. And that's because of the budget, buddy. Imagine if they actually had that money to go ahead and make them look animalistic and killer and not some humanoid looking thing. But man, it's crazy how many childhood properties are now getting the horror movie treatment what feels like so quick. We had the Banana Splits back in the day. We're getting this Winnie the Pooh one, 2 movies apparently. Peter Pan getting a horror movie, and we know a Grinch one is coming later this year. I'm gonna watch them. How are you guys feeling on these updates concerning your childhood characters getting horror movies? Moving on to some Marvel casting here before we finally dive into Friday the 13th and just the major updates we got with that franchise. One casting that got revealed just yesterday here was for the upcoming Agatha Covenant of Chaos series. And I've been honest with you guys, this is just one of the shows I'm not really looking forward to. I liked Agatha in WandaVision and I thought she was a cool character there, but not really sure how I feel about her getting an entire series or even what that could be about for 6 to 9 episodes that would keep me interested. However, Marvel seems to find their ways, and one of the things that a lot of people are saying are going to show up in this Agatha series is the teenage version of Billy Maximoff, aka Wiccan, that looks to be played now by Joe Locke. This is an actor from the show Heartstoppers. There's not much detail or confirmation that he will be playing Wiccan, but the details on his character say he will be playing a gay teen who also has a dark sense of humor. With just the amount of shows and characters that Marvel is diving into here, I'm just wondering what Secret Wars or even Kang Dynasty is gonna look like. Are all these characters they're introducing, from their TV shows to their movie appearances, will they really be all jam-packed in there, or is everyone just gonna get like 5 seconds of screen time? Also, I kind of really like the little kid castings we had from WandaVision, and I thought Marvel would kind of play out those roles and have them just naturally grow up in them. The other interesting casting choice here that I thought was pretty awesome is we did get here reported that Yahya Abdul-Mateen II is set to be playing Wonder Man for his own Disney Plus series. We've been hearing for the longest time that Marvel plans to make a solo Wonder Man series. Now, although this isn't an actor I'm hugely familiar with, the things I do know about him is that he's an actor in the MCU, and the show is said to be taking place in Hollywood with him trying to be an actor at the same time he gets his superpowers. But there's also been rumblings that other characters are going to be set to appear here. Characters like Trevor, Ben Kingsley, who showed up in Shang-Chi and also Iron Man 3. He's an actor, so he'd be thrown in there. And even Evan Peters, Ralph Boner, who is also an actor, is set to appear in here. So yeah, I think these casting choices are great. I'm just more concerned about how they'll fit into the MCU story and how those stories will affect other movies. But finally here, now time to talk about some Friday the 13th. We got some major updates concerning Jason Voorhees. So just to quickly summarize it, if you didn't hear about it, on Halloween Day, it got announced that we will be getting a prequel series for Friday the 13th on Peacock of all places. And at the time the articles and announcements were being made, there was some information that were making fans unexcited. For one, the fact that it was a prequel, so you could kind of pretty much bet adult Jason wasn't going to be showing up in there. And two, the articles were stating that this is an outcome from the Friday the 13th franchise kind of being split in half in terms of rights. That Victor Miller is only able to make this show because he doesn't have the rights to adult Jason, who has the hockey mask and only the very first Friday the 13th movie. And I'm here to update you guys that, oh boy, we was kind of wrong on all that, and this show is looking to bring back adult Jason in the hockey mask, wielding a machete, and so much more. Because of all this confusion and fans wondering how this show was going to work, the showrunner Brian Fuller took to Fangoria to answer a bunch of questions about the show, letting us know this thing could actually be really amazing. In the Fangoria article, the interviewer asks, so for starters, what characters and locations and whatnot are you allowed to use from the Friday the 13th franchise? Everything. We can use everything. We can go to hell. We can go to space. That's not to say that we will do those things. Although, if we do go 10 seasons, I will be lobbying hard to go to space. A24 and Mark Torbroff, who is Victor Miller's lawyer, have beautifully and excruciatingly assembled all the Friday the 13th rights as a streaming series. We have the rights to do everything under the Friday the 13th umbrella. The movie rights are a completely different thing. They are tied up at New Line and are super messy, and probably won't be untangled anytime soon. But as far as us chickens in the television industry, a roost, we have access to anything and everything the Friday the 13th has done up until this point. That right there, my friends, changes everything about this Peacock series. Because although this thing right now is being called Crystal Lake and it is being also called a prequel, it doesn't look like we're just going to be getting a show completely focused on Pamela Voorhees for like 3 to 5 seasons just so the finale can end with her dying, getting her head cut off, and then maybe Jason finally being born. You know that type of thing that like comic book shows does when they end their prequel shows with them actually finally becoming the superhero? That doesn't look like what's going to be the ultimate end goal for this prequel series, because also it doesn't even look to be that much of a prequel. Because he was asked, this has been pitched as a prequel series, so how far back in the timeline will we be when Crystal Lake begins? Responding with, I don't think I'm allowed to say just yet, but I would say it's less a prequel series than a pre-remakeable series. That little phrasing right there, pre-remakeable series, kind of changes the game on what this show is going to be about. To me now, season 1, I think, is entirely recreating the first Friday the 13th movie. They're going to take the concept of that first film and then going to expand it into a full series where we're going to get more backstory on Pamela Voorhees, more backstory on Jason's upbringing, what he was like as a little kid, and season 1 could end with Jason drowning. Because they also say this about more Jason appearances in the show. For one, he starts out by saying, I wouldn't count Jason out. Then he gets asked, okay, but you could be dancing around this. Could be that Jason is in it, but he's a kid rather than the mass killer everyone's imagining. Responding with, I think over the course of the series, you will see many familiar manifestations of Jason. And now I kind of have a theory and idea what they're doing with this show. I think they're trying to recreate the movies that have happened with Friday the 13th, but also trying to keep a connected story and somehow make it all fit together. Like, I wouldn't be surprised now with him calling it a pre-remakeable series, as season 1 is recreating Friday the 13th 1, then season 2 is recreating Friday the 13th Part 2, and then so on and so forth for every season after that. But this time, instead of swapping out main characters, ditching storylines, avoiding things, he is going to try and force himself to connect everything. Give us characters that we follow all the way through. Try and make everything that has happened in the Friday the 13th universe a little bit more cohesive, because you gotta admit, that's one of the bummers of Friday the 13th. There's barely really a protagonist to follow. I know a lot of people will say maybe Tommy, but he was only kind of the main character of the series for 3 movies out of the 12 there have been. And I feel like this theory and speculation to what they're doing with the show is even more backed up when he jokes around about taking Jason to space in season 10. Because here, one of the final questions he was asked, he says, "Final question, how murderous is Crystal Lake gonna be? I'm sure you're not aiming for a particular per season kill count, but a certain amount of slashing must be on your mind." Responding with, "It'll be pretty murderous. I think we'll be dropping bodies every episode, and I think there's something about the build of that, and we're hopefully in the long haul. I wasn't kidding. If we get 10 seasons, I'm going to make an effort to find a way to rashly and dramatically and in some fashion go to space. I can't imagine it going 10 seasons, but I will put that out there. I haven't gotten to lay out the first 3 seasons, honestly, so I suppose it's very easy for me to say, yeah, if we get to 10 seasons, we're going to space. Wait and see." And you know what is the 10th movie in the Friday the 13th franchise? Jason X, where he goes to space. I feel like that backs up my theory that every season is leading to another Friday the 13th movie, but connecting them all. I feel like that also goes with what he was saying, different manifestations of Jason. Jason has looked slightly different from movie to movie, meaning different versions of him. So really, a couple of key things to take away from this is, yes, at the beginning of this series, it looks like Jason won't be the biggest focus, but if we go 2-3 seasons, expect there to be the Jason you know and love. And with him mentioning how tied up the movie rights are, that's all we got right now, and I think that's really awesome to look forward to. Let me know what you guys thought on some of these updated comments on the upcoming Friday the 13th prequel series, because they got me way more excited. Looking forward to what you guys have to say. But that is all movie news we currently have going on right now, guys. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch me talk some movie news. Don't be forgetting to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.